to pick up on what Norm was commenting on regarding the one-day sentence recommendation for this clear, violation of any kind of norms of policing behavior, because it's related to a broader kind of set of messages being sent by the Justice Department, which is, we're a police state. We have a Gestapo. It's got a budget bigger than the Marine Corps. It wears masks. It doesn't identify itself. It doesn't follow the law. It doesn't go through due process. And we're going to do everything in our power to let cops who are acting in the name of the president do whatever they want. And on top of that, the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, who I don't see mentioned in your book, Lady Justice, because, I don't think she figures in that, has said the president gets to decide what's the law. So you take these things together, and we've crossed the line in my book, but maybe you think I'm overreacting.
I have never, in all of my time podcasting with you, claimed you were overreacting, and sometimes have thought you were underreacting. And I don't disagree with anything you're saying. Look, I think what Norm is saying, which is so singularly tragic, is that there are two imperatives right now. And one out of the Justice Department, one is to wreak vengeance on anyone, right? Including Jim Comey's daughter, including Adam Schiff, right? There is an imperative to up to and including arresting and detaining elected officials, up to, seizing and tackling a senator, right? Senator Padilla. Vengeance on anyone who speaks out, vengeance on anyone who sticks out their neck, vengeance on anyone who has the temerity to criticize. And then the opposite and equally chilling abuse of, the instrumentalities of the Justice Department and the police department is to reward loyalty. And those are the two imperatives. And that's why January 6ers are pardoned. And that's why this sentence is a joke. And that's why someone like Emil Bove, who has no business being at the Justice Department, much less having a lifetime appointment to an appeals court, is being rewarded. And the only way to think about this, it's the way I've been thinking about it since the beginning of Trump 2.0. This is an influence racket. This is you either curry favor with these people and get what you want, or you don't give them what they want and you are, run down like a dog. And those are the choices. And this is how the mob works. And this is how authoritarianism works. And we now have, and this is thanks to the big, beautiful bill, ICE is going to be the biggest, best funded machine of thugs, masked thugs, as you say, that we have ever known. And the other thing that I think is just poisoning this moment, and you've both alluded to it, but I think it's really important. Once you take the military, right? Think of those speeches that Donald Trump gave, to cadets, where they had to cull the people who were the Trump fans and then, sell merch to them. And anybody who was
also they called the fatties.
The fatties, apparently, right. He didn't want anyone attractive. Think about what is happening with the Justice Department and the massive numbers of DOJ lawyers who are resigning. What we are seeing is literally a sorting process wherein every single, right, ICE agents who are not loyal don't get rewarded. Those who are loyal get rewarded. Police who are not loyal, constitutional sheriffs, judges, this is all the way down. And so what you have is a system that isn't simply rewarding the loyalists and really aggressively with the full muscle of the legal system going after the dissenters, but it's so confusing who is a soldier, who is a police officer, who is a Marine, who is a National Guardsman, who does the Border Patrol answer to, who does ICE answer to, who does your local beat cop answer to? And the answer to all those questions, and this goes to the Pam Bondi point, is whoever Trump says. Whatever Trump says is the law is the law. And this conflation of law enforcement to be all law enforcement and law to be all law is terrifying. Again, this is just textbook authoritarian play. So it's not just an influence racket, and that makes me totally unsurprised that the Tom Tillises and that people are terrified, but it's also an influence racket in which nobody knows from 1 minute to the other what probable cause is or reasonable suspicion is, because it's being made up as you go along.
So Norm, just picking up on that, Dahlia mentioned Maureen Comey, and she is the daughter of James Comey. James Comey, to me, is his case is one of the more disturbing ones in the recent history of this police state, because he and John Brennan from the CIA have both been, and it's been announced they are being investigated. They have committed no crimes. They've simply opponents of the regime, and the regime is saying we're going to start investigating our opponents. His daughter was fired without explanation after having an incredibly distinguished career at the Southern District of New York as a prosecutor, being the prosecutor who just handled the Sean Combs case, but before that, being the prosecutor who handled, and we're 15 minutes and 35 seconds into this, and I have not said the word that has been on every show, but she handled the Jeffrey Epstein case, which strikes me as peculiar, just at the moment that MAGA is calling out for, transparency in Jeffrey Epstein, the person who handled the case got canned. So you may comment on anything, and if you want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein, go right ahead.
So first, let me say my sympathy for Jim Comey is limited, because there's lots of reasons to believe that we wouldn't be in this mess from 2016 on if it weren't for Jim Comey, who misused his position back then as the head of the FBI and did as much or more to get Donald Trump elected as anybody. But that aside, his daughter has been a model prosecutor. And, it's worth mentioning, Julie K. Brown of the Miami Herald did some of the only good reporting on the Jeffrey Epstein case going back in time. And what we know is that thanks to Alex Acosta, who was a prosecutor at the time, to Alan Dershowitz, who was one of Epstein's lawyers, and others, they whitewashed the case and basically let him not only avoid the characterization as a sex offender at the time that he should have gotten, but they let him, under a kind of house arrest, still have young women come in to molest them while he was, under arrest at the time. And of course, Alex Acosta was rewarded with a cabinet position in the first Trump administration. The only one who did the right thing was Maureen Comey. And like many others, she's getting attention now in part because she is the daughter of Jim Comey. We should add that even before they announced that they might bring charges against Comey and Brennan, and in my reaction to that was, please do, because then they can interview witnesses, they can get information that will reinforce the reality that there was Russian collusion. But that aside, there are just so many prosecutors who have been fired for doing the right thing. They have turned the Civil Rights Division into the Civil Wrongs Division. They've turned the Voting Rights Division section at the Justice Department into the Voter Suppression section. And I would just add that Pam Bondi I never, ever cease to mention this when the opportunity arises. As Attorney General in Florida, and Florida was one of the 2 states, along with Texas, where there were more people abused by the Trump University scam. And her office as Attorney General unanimously recommended prosecuting Trump University. Pam Bondi squashed that investigation and got a $25,000 illegal bribe/campaign contribution from Donald Trump. Illegal because it was done through his charitable foundation, subsequently disbanded for its own chicanery. And Pam Bondi has always been a lickspittle to Donald Trump, who will do anything that he wants, which is why she was put in this position. And she has abused and misused the Justice Department, and that will only continue. Now, it's also worth mentioning that the other important attorney general at the time was the Texas one, Greg Abbott, who did exactly the same thing while he was running for governor. Trump gave him a $35,000 campaign contribution. My comment at the time was, see, women still can't get equal pay for equal work. But we're dealing with a group of the worst people in America, some of the worst people in the world, and they are all part of the Donald Trump band.